Welcome to the Veteran Lawyer channel, a place where unscripted life stories meet passion, truth, and transformation. I'm Lieutenant Colonel retired Catherine Gishuki, a lawyer passionate in criminal justice and a storyteller. Here we uncover raw truths, unscripted life stories. We inspire change, become vulnerable, change perspectives. Let's dive in. Today's episode is on my motherhood journey, which started at a young age. I was 22 years as a law student at Moi University. So I had come from a girls' high school where we were not really interacting with the opposite gender, the boys. And I get introduced to relationships very early on, and I started dating at the age of 22. So excited, you're far away from home, you're discovering life, and 1+1, I became pregnant at the age of 22. So tough, because you're away from home, you're a student, and a law student for that matter, and that's not a joke. In law, you tend to read a lot. You're more buried in books compared to other students at the uni. So carrying a pregnancy and being a law student wasn't a walk in the park. Of course, there's also the stigma that comes with carrying a pregnancy in a university, or at that age, actually. So maybe the stigma is not something that people plan for, or the ones who will treat you differently is not what they want to do. But you, because you're already the guilty one, you will see like people are treating you differently. They probably don't want to associate with you. And where you're walking or you're passing, as the belly grows, they'll be speaking in low tones, and that of course affects you. Then also the aspect now when you have to start thinking of being this young mother. The body changes themselves. You get tired, you get morning sickness. And this is not the appropriate environment where you have to go through all this. I don't remember, but I think I did attending prenatal clinic. Again, not in the best of environment, because the only available facility was the clinic at the university. But thank God I didn't have, threatening complications or living conditions. So carried the pregnancy throughout. There were breaks. I think we closed and I went out of campus, but I did not go home. Of course, I knew that I didn't want to be seen that way by my parents or even by extended family. So I went to a cousin of mine who was living in Meru. I went and lived with her. I don't know whether she noted that I was pregnant, but yes, for that holiday break, I went and stayed with her. Finished the holiday break and then resumed campus. Carried on with life, because now you're carrying the pregnancy. What do? You just have to carry it and carry it to term. Then close school towards end of December. But before that time, actually, I was being reminded by my brother-in-law the other day that I wrote a letter to my parents. Of course, that time there were no phones. So I wrote a letter and I asked them, what do they want? I am pregnant. What do you want? Like, tell me, should I come home or should I go away? I'm told when my father received the letter, I think he had a conversation with my mom, and of course, he must have told her, no, let's embrace it. Let's tell her to come home. So I don't think I got a response, but they already decided that they're going to embrace and they're going to accommodate me and they will not kick me out. So I remember going home. In our home, by then, we didn't have a very good road network. So it was a matter of getting to the nearest town and then walking, because the road network was poor, so it meant there were no public transport, the matatus that were ferrying people often. So I walked for a bit of a distance. And I met my dad towards home. I think he was going to the shopping center. And the only question he asked me, so you've come? And I told him, yes. That time, the belly is there. It's almost to my mouth. And of course, the calmness in that question assured me that, yeah, I'm here, pregnant with a very, very big belly, but I'm welcome home. So, stayed. The baby did not come over Christmas, but he decided to come on the 27th. So the night of 26, that's when I realized my waters had broken. So I called my mom, and then now they started making preparation on how to take me to the hospital. But I was not in pain. I didn't experience labor pains at all. Luckily, around that time, it's Christmas time. There was a distant relative who was working with the police. So he had a bit of resources and he had a vehicle. His one was called upon. I think my dad rushed to his homestead and he was so, oh, okay, there's an emergency, we need to rush to the hospital. So he came and he took me to Jamii Hospital in Karatina. So I was admitted the whole night, the following day, nothing, no labor pains. I think I was not even, the way they take those measurements, I think my pelvic wasn't opening up. And at about, I think, 9 o'clock, they decided to do a CS, mainly because the baby was suffering fetal distress. And true to it, when he came, he had very tired skin, like an old man. So give birth to a baby boy. Do I remember the weight? I think he was about 3 kgs. He was big. So no wonder my belly was all protruding out and yeah. Stayed in hospital, I think for about 3 days. This was around the time when I think technology had not really advanced, or maybe the doctors then were not very exposed. But I remember I was given the longitudinal cut. So not the bikini that we know nowadays, it's a longitudinal. Took a bit of time to heal. Then also around the same time, something now I don't see and I don't hear with the women, with the young mothers. I was not allowed to eat for close to 3 days. And I was wondering, okay, so I'm not eating, I'm just sipping water. Where am I supposed to get the milk from? So I was hungry. I was so hungry. I remember, I think the person who was in the neighboring room had visitors and they brought her bread. I went and scrambled over that bread, of course without permission, and I coolered it very fast because I was very, very hungry. And that staying without eating, I think also affected my milk production, because for a long time, I couldn't produce milk. Maybe I was traumatized, maybe also the hunger, but I struggled with milk production in the first days. So fast forward, we get discharged, we go home. Remember, I've given birth on the 27th, so this is towards now January and people have opened. Uni has opened, so I'm missing out on classes. But I stayed home for about 5 weeks. And then my parents just decided, okay, you know what, we are going to take care of after this baby. You go back to school. So that's what I did, 5 weeks into delivery. So you're not healed, you have milk, your breasts are full of milk, but you have these parents who are gracious enough to tell you, pack your bags, proceed to uni, we'll be there. And I'm saying gracious because there are other ladies. I don't know, I'm crying. There are other ladies who also got pregnant. And I saw them coming to uni with their kids. So like, I don't know whether the parents were not supportive or they didn't have the capacity, but those ladies carried their babies to school. So you can imagine how tough it can be. You're supposed to be reading, you're supposed to be doing exams, but there you are with a kid on your back and a house girl, and you have to figure it out. So luckily for me, I didn't suffer that. So going back to campus, I guess the journey was also tough because you're talking about Nyeri, Mukurweini, to the other side of the country, Eldoret. So that's a far off journey. You're not healed. Your breasts are engorged with milk. I can't remember whether I carried tablets then, whether anybody knew about the tablets that makes the milk go dry, or it's after landing there. No, I didn't carry, because I think when I went to campus, I remember standing under the shower and you just let the milk run. But maybe the following day or 2 days later, that's when I got dispensed with the tablets. And eventually the milk dried out. So this means even if I had the opportunity to leave the baby home, he didn't get the opportunity to suckle. You know, I hear women talking about exclusive breastfeeding. That's not something I enjoyed with the first baby. And I don't know, now maybe only my mom can confirm this. I think there was also grace, because I don't think I heard of him being taken to hospital a lot. Maybe I didn't know, because again, you're in campus, there's no phone for you to keep in tabs with what is happening. Maybe I think God was gracious enough that he never really felt sick or got affected by the fact that he didn't get the proper immunity. Yeah, what I know is that I think as a result of taking in too much cow's milk, because it's deep in the village, it's nothing like Nam. So he must have been put on cow's milk up to date. He's lactose intolerant. He doesn't take milk at all. He does the plant-based. Yeah, so go back to campus, try to settle in back, catch up with what I had lost. I think I got a bit of good support from a few friends and managed to catch up. Of course, it's not the same, because you have these body changes. You just become a young mother, and you have studies to think about. So that also affected, I think, to some extent on how I performed. Yeah, but eventually caught up and just got hang of it. Yeah. So motherhood in my 20s, pretty challenging. It's not anything I would wish on somebody. And I know our mothers got kids when they were pretty young, because they got married then, and they started their married life at the early 20s or even mid 20s. But I think now during our time, it was a case of first go finish your studies and then become a mother. For me, it didn't necessarily turn out to be that way, but it's all good. Fast forward now to baby number 2. Also, baby number 1 turned out okay. So I picked him. So my parents stayed with him until the age of 5. Now, when I settled in, I finished campus and got a job. I picked him from the village and I started staying with him. What that meant, I think also the not suckling and the 5 years into his formative, whatever, maybe stage, what that meant is that the bond wasn't really there. So he knew at some point after my sis finished high school, She's the one now who came home. And was helping mom with raising him. So he knows he has two moms. There's a shushu and two moms. Yeah. So what I needed to say is that that I think affected how we related. And I had to be very deliberate and intentional later on. I think when he was in upper primary, to sort of like start winning him back and just regaining that relationship. I don't think it's 100%, but I try. Fast forward to baby number 2, settled in a career. I got him in 2007. Actually, around the time when the year of post-election. So he's born 2007. He just turned 18 the other day. For him, of course, I'm aware I'm getting him at the age of 30. So I'm more prepared, body-wise, emotional intelligence-wise, resources, career-wise. I've settled in. His dad is there. So not so bad. But remember, I was not really involved in raising baby number 1. So this is like my baby number 1 in terms of raising him. And it was okay. It's only that now when it's baby number 1, you tend to do things as a first mother. That's when you're discovering there are mistakes you will do. You over babysit. So it was fine, but he sort of like terrorized us. He was kind of, he's also a boy. I think we overdid things, and I wouldn't say he took advantage because he was young, but so I think when you establish a habit with a baby, they will also know, this is how it's done, and they have to do this for me to do this. Yeah, so I remember even the house girl I had that time, at one point, she used to have these terrible headaches, and she believed there was something wrong with her head, but there was nothing wrong. It was just a baby who was terrorizing. She even underwent an MRI, nothing was found. He was the kind of baby who would not eat, not unless you climb a table and you have to keep talking to him, eat, meza. Pretty problematic. We made a mistake of blending food for him for the longest, so he had an issue of swallowing. But yeah, so he's okay. He's 18 now. He's a middle child. He's going into IT, I think, as he says. So good. Then I also have a girl, baby number 3. She's 14. Okay, she's fine. She's different from the others. She's more focused, determined. She knows what she wants. Of course, she's come at a time when you've raised another one ahead of her. So you kind of know the hang of it. And she's a girl. So it's different raising a boy compared to a girl. I think she was not as fussy. And anyway, there was no time for her to be fussy because we already knew the tricks. Yeah. I've had the advantage of not having issues with house girls. So the one who started off with baby number 2 did 10 years. Then I took on to another one who is now doing the 9th year. So I've had that advantage of not having to change house girls every now and then. So I thank God for that. Of course, I say it doesn't always it's not automatic. You have to learn the art of just realizing they're humans too as a mother. For me, who travels a lot or had been traveling a lot for work, short trips, and others staying out for some time, I couldn't have the luxury of changing house girl every now and then. I learned very early on that so long as the baby is well fed and has been cleaned up and they're sleeping, Even if the house is in a mess, it's not sparkling clean, they've done their bit and they can do the rest tomorrow. And you learn to sort of like just close your eyes for something that is not so major, not unless, some things, when they happen, they're inevitable, you can deal with that. So that's how I've managed. Been trying to be very human with them, to be patient with them, to be accommodating. Not to say they will not take advantage. They will take advantage when they find you're too calm, you're not asking questions, you're not throwing words at them. It's not my nature to do that. But yeah, it's been okay when it comes to house girls. What are the sacrifices I have had to deal with, or to sort of like just go through, or to experience because of my motherhood? I wouldn't know that I missed a course or I missed to be promoted because I was a mother. Maybe I did, and it's something that happened that I was not aware about. But of course, for the time you're carrying a pregnancy, you're not really yourself. And remember, for the last 2 pregnancies, I was in a male-dominated organization or a job in KDF, where you work with more of male officers or the male gender, so that even if for them their families are flourishing and they're creating families, we don't see that, because it's their wives who are carrying the pregnancies away from the theater of everything. But for us females, we carry the babies day in, day out, whether you're going to the office or you're not going to the office. So you just have to learn to live with it. Not always something so welcome, or at least during my time, and maybe because I will get so big at one point, I will not even fit in that uniform. I'll not even put on the boots or the shoes. So I just decided, you know what, I'll just put on something free so long as I'm comfortable. And of course, 1 or 2 people or 1 or 2 senior officers will not like it, and they'll drop a few negative words here and there. But as a mother, you just have to realize this is a natural thing you have to do. It's a natural calling, and the biological clock is not waiting, so you just have to do it. You will have a few not so good experiences here and there. Maybe people dropping words. I remember there's one who told me that you look unserviceable, and I wondered, what do you mean I look unserviceable? I'm just pregnant, and pregnancy is not a disease. Yeah, so you go through it and you finish. Another sacrifice, of course, when you're going through pregnancies, you can't really keep your normal social circle. When people are going out, they're catching up over coffee or drinks. That's something you have to forego. Or maybe there are family gatherings or meetings beyond Nairobi or outside Nairobi. You just have to cut short. You can't really catch up with your friends, because a kid, so long as they're below 5 years, you really have to be there. You have to be present. And then a bit of a challenge, especially for baby number 2, he suffered from what you call febrile conversions. Every time he would get infection, say the ear and the throat infection, his temperature would go up and conversions would set in. And it's something he lived with from year 3 to year 7. So some of those things you can't really be away from. Thank God, I think around that time, I don't think I traveled. So I was present. Yeah, even with the admissions in hospital, I was there, though my sis came through for that. And I'm grateful. What are the do's and don'ts for a mom? The do's: enjoy that period. Enjoy the phase. It's a season. Embrace it and embrace motherhood. Embrace motherhood, because it's not going to be forever. Time passes. You don't bear children throughout. So enjoy it and just enjoy that time with your children, because they also grow, and they grow out of your laps and they live. Right now, my last born is 14. Maybe I would have wanted more time to spend more time with them, but time just passes and they grow. As I conclude, I probably just want to touch a bit on mom's guilt, something that I would say I've also struggled with, especially connected with the travels when I'm not home and you miss milestones, you don't get to attend a sports day, you don't get to attend some of the academic clinics. You probably don't get to be there when a few milestones they are going through them. I remember when I went to the UK, I left my daughter at 2 years, 9 months. That was pretty young, but there was no provision for me to travel with her or to travel with them. So what that meant is that Nairobi being 3 hours ahead of UK, especially during the fall season, I have to try and catch up with calling them before they sleep. So you have to step out of class, out of the library to call before they sleep. Yeah, so you just have to just adjust. I cried, I think, for the first semester. It was a bit tough. But you just look at the bigger picture and realize you're doing this for them and you're doing to better their future. Yeah, so mom's guilt is a real thing. If you see someone going through it, just support them, pat them on their back, remind them that they're doing it for their kids, support them, and just don't overemphasize it. You know, there are those people who will say, oh, you're going and then you're leaving your kids with who? I think a few lines to that effect were dropped, even by relatives. But at times you just have to find yourself in those spaces. Then things like scholarship opportunities don't come often. Even now, as I go into transition mode into another jurisdiction, it's about mom sacrifices. The step I am about to step into, it's all about them. It's all about them to ensure that I can give them diverse opportunities and choices. Otherwise, I am fine at my age and the kidogo wealth I've collected or amassed. I'll be good, but I have to do that for them. Thank you so much for watching this episode, which was a bit emotional. But if the story resonates with you, please like, subscribe, and share. Till next time, stay bold, stay inspired, and don't cry.